Good evening, everyone. I'm Snehal Karnik. On behalf of Impro Consulting and Knowledge Solutions, I'm delighted to welcome you all to this exclusive webinar on ISO 31000-2018 version of the Risk Management Standard. At Impro, our mission has always been to help organizations adopt world-class practices and enhance their resilience in an increasingly uncertain business environment. As you all know, risk is no longer just a compliance requirement, but it is at the core of business decision making. This webinar has been designed to provide you with a structured understanding of ISO 31000, that is, risk management. This will be a 1 hour session comprising of 45 minutes theory and 15 minutes question and answer session. Leading today's session is our esteemed expert and Impro team member, Mr. Mahesh Devostali, who brings 2.5 decades of experience in risk management, compliance frameworks, and organizational transformation. He has successfully guided organizations across industries in embedding structured risk practices and aligning them with business goals. He has worked with global clientele. Mr. Mahesh specializes into program and project management, risk management, and IT service management. His expertise are into solution designing, driving the improvements across the board. He is certified ISO 31000 risk manager, NIST risk management implementer, Prince 2 approved trainer, GDPR DPO, PGD holder in cyber law, and many more professional credentials. We are confident that this session will give you practical insights to appreciate the significance of risk management practices and further motivate you to learn the subject in details. So, before we begin, I request everyone to kindly keep their microphones muted during the session. There will be a question and answer segment at the end where you are welcome to participate and share your thoughts. Kindly type your questions in the chat box and we will address them at the end of the Q&A session. With that, I welcome Mr. Mahesh to take up the lead and start the session.
So we will touch the surface today, and depending on your interests, then we will get down into the further studies, further exploration of your risk management journey in the near future. So this is the outline. I'll be talking about some use cases where this framework can be applied across some different industries. Then there is a just 5 to 6 questions quiz just to see how much your awareness is, because what I understand is everyone here is a experienced professional. So let's see how how much your awareness is. Definitely, this is not a test. This is just to keep the things interactive. And then we will get into the construct of this standard. We'll go through this. Of course, at a very introductory level, we'll talk about this principles, framework, and processes. And then we will open the session for discussion and question and answers. Okay. So where all we can apply this ISO 31000 risk management framework, right? So we can apply it for management of operational risks, quality and the product safety risks, right? Say you don't want any defects in your products to reach to your consumers, correct? And again, those products could be anything, right from the automobiles to IT software or to cloud infrastructure to construction industry to packaging industry. The industries may change, but the fundamental of the brand building, the reputation, the stakeholders, the quality of the products, the quality of the services, it remains the same everywhere. And there is a risk. Now, risk is such an interesting topic. It is inherent. Whatever we do or we don't do, there is a risk. Correct. So just for an example, if I have $100 with me and I'm in Las Vegas, now I put this $100 in the gambling on the gambling table, there is a risk. If I don't put it there, still there is a risk, because if I would have put, possibly those 100 could have become 1 million. right? So risk is everywhere. Uncertainty is another name, and this uncertainty is everywhere. So be it supply chain, just in time kind of deliveries, then your business continuity. Nowadays, there is this data privacy. Uh, it is much in the talks. It is much in the train. Everybody is talking about data privacy. So there is GDPR. There is this DPDPA for Indian region. So why we are doing all this? Because there is some risk behind sharing your personal data without knowing how that data will be used, without having any controls in place which will give you as the subject, as what they call, or as the owner of the data. If you don't have any assurance about how and where and for what purposes your personal data could be used, that's a huge risk we are carrying, right? There is a risk in the health and safety environment. The firefighters, they they work all the time under the risk, right? Even innovation and R&D departments also carry a huge risk. And I was setting up the PMO for Marico. And within Marico, we were setting up this PMO to mitigate the risk of very minimal or no visibility on the new product development to the top management of Marico. So there were people, there were experts in the subject who were developing the new products, correct? But there was no visibility to the management, and because of that, the decision making was failing somewhere. It was becoming non-efficient, non-effective. So we took a different approach there, and we set up PMO, etc. But the whole exercise was again to manage, to mitigate, to treat some risks. We are having this technology, electric vehicles. We have this autonomous cars, correct? The technology, the advancement in every field brings some kind of risk, right? So that's just to emphasize that risk is everywhere. So if there is the risk and it is everywhere, it is inherent part of our day-to-day life, right? Let's try to explore how much we know about the very basics of the risk. Okay. I would request you to put your answer in the chat box. Just say A, B, C, or D. That's fine. So this is the question. Which of the following terms describe effects of uncertainty on objectives? Okay. Whatever your answer is, I request you to please put it in the chat box. You can just say A, B, C, or D. Okay. C, D. Bharat says C. Cholangi says D. Mahesh says C. Dattatreya says C. Uday says C. I didn't put it as a quiz purposely. This way I can see you being there, you being with me. So, I'm asking you to put your answer in C. Okay. Okay. So most of you are saying C. That's a risk, and that's the correct answer. Right? That's the correct answer. So uncertainty on the objectives, the effects of uncertainty on the objectives, that is risk. Okay. Then what is the purpose of risk treatment? So when we identify a risk, when we are aware about some risk, we would like to treat that risk. We would like to respond to that risk. So what is the purpose of the risk treatment? Okay. Again, you can put your answers in the chat box. Okay, Bharat again says C, Cholangi says A, right? So the question is, what is the purpose of risk treatment? Why should we treat the risk? Okay. Sunil says C, Uday says A. So I think this is interesting. This is kind of a split between A and C, right? Deepak says A, Mahesh says A. So the answer is A. See, why we treat, what is the purpose of the risk treatment? Why we want to treat the risk? To select and implement options for addressing the risk. Okay. We'll talk about some different responses in the terms of how can we respond to the risk. For every risk, we don't choose the same response. For every risk, we don't choose the same answer. We have different types, different categories, and based on that, based on the nature of the risk, the impact of the risk, we will be selecting our answers. So we'll as we go ahead, we'll be talking about that. So the next question is coordinated activities to direct and control an organization with regards to risk describes what? Compliance management, risk management. Okay, Deepak says B, risk management. Oh, great. Everybody, I think this is uniformly B. Okay, great. Correct. The answer is B. Thank you so much for participating. So the next one is, what does defining scope, context, and criteria involve? Kind of a split between A and C. The answer is C. It is defining the scope of process and understanding the internal and external context. So as we go ahead, we'll be touching these areas again. And the next one is appropriate and timely involvement of stakeholders enables their knowledge, views, and perceptions to be considered. What risk management principle is this? If you're aware about the risk management principles of 31,000, probably this will be easier. But even otherwise also, commonly, with the general awareness also. Okay, so Cholangi says C. Aresh says C, human and cultural factors. Okay, most of you are saying C, but the answer is A. See, the appropriate and timely involvement of stakeholders. So when I'm involving the stakeholders, I'm applying the principle of inclusivity. Okay, we'll go there. There are principles, there are things. Okay, thank you so much for participating, and I really appreciate that again. So let's get introduced with what is this ISO 31000. Okay. And I'll take you to the last point first. ISO 31000 is one of the ISO standards, but this standard is not auditable. Now, what does that mean? ISO 27001, yes, the organization will implement it and can get audited, will get certified. 9001, yes, the organization can get audited and will get certified. But for ISO 31000, there is no certification process. So because it is not auditable, but it complements several other standards. Be it artificial intelligence management system standard, which is the latest one, be it your health and safety, be it your 9001, 27001, be it your 27701 privacy information management system. Risk management is everywhere. Hence, this particular standard of 31,000 complements these other standards for certification. Okay. So it is an international standard that provides principles and guidelines for risk management. It outlines a comprehensive approach for identifying, analyzing, evaluating, treating, monitoring, and communicating risk across the organization. So it is about the entire risk management life cycle across the complete organization. There are other, not exactly not ISO standard, but there are other methodologies, best practices, or framework across the industry, like management of risk by Axelos, or RMF, risk management framework by PMI, or NIST. NIST is specifically for InfoSec, but still that's a very, very known, very popular, very widely accepted InfoSec risk management standard. Those standards, they are applicable either at a particular level within the organization, or they are more fit for a particular scope, like only information security management or only for the project management, right? Whereas 31,000 is such a standard which is applicable across the enterprise, across any and all the departments. That makes ISO 31000 very important, very widely accepted, adopted standard. Okay. It gives us the comprehensive understanding of the risks, strategic decision making based on and with full information about the risk, operational excellence through risk understanding and plan responses, proactive approach in management of the risk, and gain the stakeholders' confidence. That's the ultimate thing. We have to assure our stakeholders about our capabilities, our uh, uh, our resilience, right? Now, if you have noticed, in the first bullet point, it says comprehensive understanding of risk, and then in the bracket, it says threats and opportunities, right? Uh, so the way I'm interpreting this point is the risks are of two types, threats and opportunities. How many of you agree with me? If you agree, say yes. If you don't agree, say no. Y or N in the chat box. Risk is of two types, threats and opportunities. Do you agree? If I make a statement that and which was a fact, I think a year or a couple of years back, uh, Suzlon don't or buying the Suzlon share has a risk. That is what my friend had told me. Correct. Now, if somebody tells you that buying the shares of this XYZ company has a risk, what will you consider? Will you consider that risk as a threat or as an opportunity? If you are saying yes, the risk can be of two types, threats and opportunities. Will you consider it as a uh, uh, as a threat or as an opportunity? If I tell you that you know buying the shares of company XYZ, something, say T for threat, O for opportunity, how will you interpret my sentence? You will consider that as a threat. Okay, Bharat says you will consider that it as a threat. Okay, Deepak says opportunity, right? Siddesh also says opportunities. Okay, great. Uh, See, what happens is it completely depends on the way our awareness, our thinking is molded. It is influenced by our understanding of risk. That's first thing. Yes, Cholangi says both, sir. Yes, there could be the threat and there could be the opportunity. That's a very balancing, diplomatic answer, Cholangi. Thank you. But if I look at generally overall population, people, the first thought in somebody's mind will be about the threat. That is how our minds are molded, since young age. But then remember, there are many risks which will give you the opportunities also. It depends on what is your outlook towards the risk, what is your appetite, what is your readiness to respond to the risk. It depends on that how you consider the risk, whether as a threat or as an opportunity. So it's kind of the glass is half empty or half full. Okay, but yes, theoretically, risk can be threat or it can be an opportunity also. Okay. So managing risk is iterative and it assists organization is setting strategy, achieving objectives and making informed decisions. So managing risk is iterative. That word iterative is underlined. Why? Because many cases, almost all the cases, I would say, the risk never ends. And for short period of time or some time, you may consider that, okay, I have eliminated this risk completely. There will be something or the else which will come up again. Be it money, be it about the health and safety, be it about my supply chain, my logistics, my production, my infosec, anything and everything. It is iterative. You try to control the risk with some responses, some other risk will pop up. Now, what happens is a threat can lead into another threat. or a threat can lead into opportunity. An opportunity can lead into threat, or an opportunity can lead into opportunity. Any which way it is possible, but eliminating the risk 100% is, I would say, kind of a rare scenario, right? Managing risk is part of governance and leadership and is fundamental to how the organization is managed at all levels. For risks, for improvements, continual improvements, and for information security. I always say that in the management area, in the management sector, management of any business, be it IT business, be it IT enabled services business, be it purely manufacturing or supply chain or whatever it is, whatever the sector domain it is. The three things, or rather, we can even say four, but three which are very important, like my risk management, my information security management, and my continual improvement. These are the three things which should always come from top to bottom. It is the governance, it is the leadership who should show the commitment in terms of the finances, in terms of the efforts, in terms of people, in terms of guiding the rest of the organization in uh, how to treat these three areas. You should be driving the continual improvements. You should be taking the responsibility for the risk management. The entire organization should be taking the responsibility of that. And that needs to come from top to bottom. Okay, so managing risk is part of the governance and leadership and is fundamental to how the organization is managed at all the levels. Okay. Managing risk is part of all activities. Okay. It could be something internal, something external, something regulatory, some financial compliances, some material safety related things, some things about employee welfare, something about, as an organization giving it back to the society, your CSR activities also. Okay. There will be risks and you have to manage all those risks. Right? So managing risk considers the external and internal context of the organization, including human behavior and cultural factor. I'll just give you an example. Uh, Very early days of my career, uh, I I used to be scared of investing into share markets, whereas my classmates, my colleagues, they were all into that. But I used to be very scared. Okay. For some unknown reasons, I used to feel like, hey, that's a very high risk area, and I don't want to go into that. Right now, from where did this come? This comes from our early age impressions, from the culture within our families. Now, one of my friend, he is into cryptocurrencies long back, since the cryptocurrencies emerged and they started picking up in the market. This person is trading into cryptocurrencies. So the culture, the human behavior makes a huge impact. Now the organizations are made up of people, be it any organization. So when people bring their culture together, it forms the culture of an organization. Correct. And there is again a story. Uh, One of my friends wanted to purchase an apartment, in the city areas, and of course he went for a home loan. So for the same apartment, he applied in two different banks. Same building, same apartment, same person applying with two different banks. One bank outrightly rejected his application, saying that we will not be able to provide any loan for this particular property. The other bank said we will be able to provide you 70 to 75% of the loan of the uh, you know value of the deal. Now, why does this happen? It is the same country, same place, same building, same apartment, same person applying for it, but two different banks responding in two different ways. Correct? The organizational culture, the risk appetite of the organization, the risk response strategies of the organization directs this. Right? So human behavior, human psychology, uh, cultural factors, they also play a great role in risk management. So risk management is not the subject of all calculations and formulas and nothing. It has got a very strong human psychology aspect as well. Right? Though ISO 31000 doesn't get into much details of this area, but yes, it is there. And when on the ground we are working or acting like a risk manager, or we are part of the team, we should be taking into consideration these human aspects, cultural aspects as well. So let me quickly talk about the benefits of learning and adopting ISO 31000 risk management qualification. Of course, your decision making will be improved. Your stakeholders' confidence will increase. It will enhance in your function in your organization. Uh, your operations will be more efficient and cost effective because you'll be able to identify the risk earlier. You'll be able to treat those risks earlier, respond to those risks earlier, and control them. Okay. Meeting the compliance requirements. Of course, there are so many places wherein the risk management becomes a compliance requirements, and that will bring the increased resilience into business operations. Okay. Whereas these are some of the benefits of adopting ISO 31000 for organization. As an individual, when you learn this, you definitely will have the enhanced employability. Your skills development happens. Your career will advance. It will help you in exploring the new roles in the new areas within your same organization. And then you will get a professional recognition. Though ISO 31000 is a generic framework, and that is the first step to begin your uh, journey in the risk management area, which could be your full-time, long-term career also. There are very specific risk management frameworks in different sectors. You go to insurance, they have their own risk management frameworks. You go to finance, they have their own. You go to construction, they have their own. Right? So 31,000 at the enterprise level, this is a generic framework which will open the doors for you to get into the specifics. So if you look at it, the risk perspectives are very different at different organizational levels. So strategic perspective is different. Portfolio program and project perspective is different. The operational risk also, they have their own perspective. They have their own needs, and they have their own structure, or they have their own management consideration. Right? So the risk is everywhere at the product level also. And while we are working as the risk manager, we have to take into consideration which perspective we are looking into. Are we talking about the risk to the quality of the product, or to the processes to develop this product? Correct. So those perspectives will be different. Right. Then let's talk about the ISO 31000 2018 construct of this standard, how it is structured. 2018 is the latest version, so it's quite long time. There is no revision, or there is no update that has happened into this standard. And obvious reason, this is a generic one. So there are principles, there is a framework, and there are processes. Okay. All these three things, they are related to each other. Right? Uh, so let's quickly look at the principles at a little more detail. So there are 8 principles which are around this value creation and protection. Okay, so risk management, ISO 31000 risk management framework focuses on value creation and the protection of that value. Okay. And what are these principles? Your risk management needs to be integrated. So ensure that whichever the ways of working or the framework or methodology you decide, it needs to be integrated. It needs to be the integral part of all of the organizational activities. You cannot separate out, hey, this is HR which is separate, and this is my IT which is separate, and my management is separate. No, risks are everywhere, and everywhere they should be managed. So it needs to be an integrated approach. It needs to be structured and a very comprehensive approach. Right? You cannot have one way of risk management in one department and the other way of risk management in other department. No, you bring a common structure and then you apply it as per your functions or as per your requirements. You must customize it. Every business is unique. Every business needs their unique risk management framework or construct or processes. Correct. So you customize your own. Now you may want to go for ISO 31001 or NIST or something else, or you may want to make the combinations of all this. Right? But you customize it to meet your own requirements. There is nothing like one shoe fits all kind of a situation or solution. Okay? Then this needs to be inclusive. You should consider the risk internally, externally. Many times what happens is we take into consideration the internal risks. So we talk about the, let's say, for example, attrition within my own organization. But what if there is a high attrition within my supplier's organization? Of course, that will impact my business operations also, because my supplier will not be able to provide me the resources, the right skilled resources on the right time. So I must consider that as well. Many large organizations do the second party audits on their suppliers just to ensure that the supplier is also in a good standing position. This should be dynamic. You cannot have a very rigid structure for your risk management. The new risks will come, will keep on emerging. The risk weightages will change. Your organizational situation will change, because of which your responses to the risk will change. So you cannot have very hard and fast rules defined. It has to be the dynamic framework. Okay? Then see, any risk, when I assess the risk, when I analyze the risk, and when I decide the responses, I do so based on the best available information at that point of time. And I keep on saying risk is kind of a funny, because this fact itself creates another risk to be managed, because as the time progresses, the available information will change. Right? And when the information change, it may give me another threat or another opportunity. But then we'll have to keep in mind that your risk responses will be made based on the best available information at that point in time. Okay? Human and cultural factors will impact your risk treatments, risk management greatly. So you really need to be careful when you select your risk managers and your risk management team. Correct? They must have a complete alignment with your business's vision, goals, objectives, uh, what the business wants to achieve in the next decade, 5 years, and what are the business or the organizational culture and values. And then risk management itself needs to continually improve. So today, I may be just calculating the risk score based on the probability and the impact. Tomorrow, I may want to bring, say, my appetite, my budget, the exposure, the some other factors, some other characteristics of risk. I may want to bring that into my risk score calculation. Right? So your framework should continually be kept on improving. Then there is a framework which talks about how the leadership should be committed, how the integration of this risk management should happen. You design your framework, you implement that framework, you keep on evaluating how effective this framework is, and then you keep on improving, right? So there are a lot of details about how do you construct and how do you manage the risk framework within your organization. And similarly, once you have the framework, you have to implement that. So for implementation, there are set of processes. Okay. So first you define the scope, identify the context and the criteria. What will you call as risk? What will you not call as risk? What is an acceptable risk for you? What is a non-acceptable risk for you? How will you do the risk assessments? What kind of risk responses you will use? You will have to define the mechanisms and processes to monitor and review. So your risk review should be part of your regular engagement or business reviews as well. You should be recording, reporting about your risk, and the communication should happen continuously. The consultation about your risk approach, risk framework should happen continuously. So there are multiple processes given in the standard for better risk management. Now, what follows next is kind of informative thing. So this is the risk process and techniques matrix. So there are on the x-axis on the top, there are some risk processes defined, and then there are multiple techniques. Like say, for example, cause and effect diagram. So when I'm identifying the threat or opportunities, I can use the cause and effect diagram, or in my planning stage, I can use this cause and effect diagram. My horizon scanning will be very helpful in defining the context and objectives. Then there is a technique called as Zori window. Again, that will help me in identification of the threats. So this is just a table or a matrix for your reference. I'm sure many of you are aware about the PESTEL: political, economical, social, technology, legal, and environmental aspects, external factors which impact our business. So that while I'm doing the PESTEL analysis, again, I can apply that while I'm identifying the threats and opportunities or defining my objectives. SWOT analysis can be done, trend reporting, maturity assessments, risk breakdown structure, and risk matrix, Swiss cheese model. Okay. Quickly, there are these 8 different responses. 4 are common for threats and opportunities, and two are different. So I can either avoid or reduce the threat. I can exploit the opportunity, or I can enhance the opportunity. I can transfer, right? So when I purchase an insurance, I transfer the risk to the insurance company. But if I purchase an insurance policy with copay, then I'm not transferring fully, then I'm sharing. Okay. Then I will accept the risk and I will do nothing. I'll say, okay, let it happen, whatever impact it may have. I am okay to accept that, but I'll still go ahead and do or take some actions. And then there is another one which says, you prepare the contingent plans, but you don't take the action till the appropriate time comes. Okay. So these are some of the common risk responses. And then these are some of the techniques, like say, there is this likelihood and threat or opportunities impact. This is called as the butterfly risk matrix, represented with bubbles, and the size of the circles will decide the impact. Okay. The larger the circle, the closer the proximity or velocity of the risk. Okay. And I'm mapping threats and opportunities both together against the likelihood. Then this is stakeholder analysis, wherein you have active, passive, and high influence, low influence for the blockers and backers. Okay. So you just have to plot your different stakeholders into it. So stakeholder management is again a complete different area, which you will have to bring in when you do the risk management. Okay. Then this is a very easy technique, but gives a great clarity: risk breakdown structure. So you break it down into different parts. So the project risk, the project will have the technical risk, managerial risk, commercial risk, external risk. Again, you can add external, you can break it down. You can say supplier risk, and then you can say external environmental risk. And then you identify the risks under, sorry, each of this category. And you can even further categorize it or decompose it. Okay. Then this is Jory window. This is again a general management practice, but then very helpful in my risk management also. Similarly, there is this Swiss cheese model, which tells us when a threat starts, you can bring the engineering controls, administrative controls, behavior controls. So these are your proactive responses. Then you have the contingent plans. But in spite of all this, some risk will get filtered, but some risk will still go and hit on your objectives. So you need to be prepared for that as well. This is a very useful, beautiful model. I like this personally very much. Right? Great. Any questions, please feel free to drop in the chat box. We are open for question answers, your thoughts. Would you like to explore 31,000 more, less? Snail madam, I think we can even unmute them, or they can unmute themselves and we can discuss.
Yes, yes, sure, sir.
Yes, so please feel free to unmute yourself and we can discuss. This was just a very short, brief overview of 31,000. Risk management can be your full-time career for long, long years. Sure. So, Bharat, I think Snehal ma'am will guide us in that aspect. So, ma'am, would you like to share some information about our training program? By the time, let the participants type their question or maybe ask their questions.
Yeah, so this is the 1 hour webinar today we have kept just to give an overview of what 31,000 and what is the risk management. But as you all might have seen, that this is a very, very, very brief knowledge about what you have learned today. I mean, what we have done in the webinar, because this is a very deep subject, and it will. We have planned 1 day training on this, and the dates are 4th and 5th of October. Now, since you all are working, so we have considered the weekends, and we have kept it on 2 days as it is a 1 day training, but we have segmented it into the Saturday and Sunday batch, because 1 day might would be very long. So the timing would be from 10 to 2 p.m. on Saturday, that is 4th October, and on Sunday, that is 5th of October. So if you are interested and if you want to register for the same, I will post the link in the chat box. There you can register, and post the registration. We will share all the details of the training on your personal email ID. So I will post the link.
Okay, so by the time ma'am is posting the link, Dattatreya is asking benefits for individuals. Okay, so Dattatreya, risk manager, as I mentioned, no, could be your full-time career. The way we do it is we start with a generic learning about the risk management, correct? And then you can get into the specific area. Okay. Let's say, for example, if you are from IT, then you can get into the info security risk management. If you are into operations, then you can get into operational risk management. And in the same context, to answer to Cholangi, yes, Cholangi, in the health and safety, yes, we have dedicated techniques, tools, methods for the risk management in health and safety also, right? So there are positions of risk manager. There are dedicated risk managers available in specific sectors. Like say, for example, insurance. There will be credit risk managers. In the banking financial sector, there are financial risk managers. These risk managers, like let's say, if you do your specialization study in financial risk management, then it will open the doors in any different sectors, because finance is common across, right? If you do the risk management like general learning and then get into the specifics of say the risks associated with commercial vehicles lending business. So I was part of one of such project, not as a risk manager. I was there in some other role, but then yeah, we had a risk manager there who used to give us the inputs. what are the risks and how the software application should be considering those risks. So, it is as much as deep as much you can go. Just to share with you all, I'm pursuing my second master's in the risk management area. Okay, I'm focusing on risks in the software development lifecycle. Okay, so you have your career, better career prospects and chances. You have, like, you can establish your credibility in the market, right? Right. So Bharat, definitely Snehal ma'am will get back to you with the next dates. And as ma'am explained, this is a 1-day program. What you will be learning there is we will get an overview of the standard itself, and then we will be doing the deep dive. We will be doing the deep dive in the principles, frameworks, and processes, and then whatever those key techniques which I just now showed you, like Swiss cheese, uh, uh, there are a few of them. So we'll be getting into the details of it. We'll be doing the hands-on activity. So it won't be like this webinar where I am talking and you guys are listening. It will be a very interactive session wherein you will have to do a lot of hands-on activities. So I'll be asking you to calculate the risk score, do the risk or create the risk registers. We'll be using some case studies, and then we'll be working as the risk manager on those particular scenarios. So it is a very interactive session which I have been delivering for a few years now. Again, there is a one can select the master class kind of a thing also, wherein we get to study 3 to 4 key standards in the risk management area. As I said, this ISO 31000, MOR, NIST, then PMI, RMF. So these are very popular uh, popular ones. So in the master class, which is a little longer program, not 1-day program, it is like 4 days, 5 days program. But then you will get to go into the deep of this. Okay. Yes, Harish sir. Thank you so much. And definitely, ma'am will keep all of us informed about the next session, the batches which are being planned, right? And I would like to meet you there also again. Thank you, Dattatreya. So ma'am has shared the form. Please fill the form if you are interested. Let us know your feedback. Any questions before maybe we wind up? Any particular question anymore? Okay. Snell ma'am, you want to address something? Thank you, Cholangi.
No one has a query. No one has a question. Surprising.
No, I think they will have a lot of interest queries, questions once they start
Yeah.
getting into the
True,
depth of it.
true.
This is like
True.
this is like looking at a Eiffel Tower just while you are in the plane. So
Correct. So we
this
will be
should be
sharing
fine.
this training details uh, in your email ID as well. And there also you can later on also you can think and you can register for the same. There is no hurry as of now. And also we will be sharing in your email ID the handouts of today's session, today's webinar for your reference.
Sure. Sholangi, what about TQM? Sorry, can we expect any other training session about the TQM? So, Snail ma'am, maybe you want to note this down.
Yes, I'll note it down. We will get back to you on this.
Sure. Thank you so much. And once again, I appreciate everybody joining, especially on Saturday evening.
Any session on IITF?
Sorry, ma'am, you said something?
No, I'm just noting it down.
Yeah.
Indraja ma'am, yes, we do have lot of sessions going on. So yes, we also do IITF, but whenever we schedule that, we will get back to you on that. Yeah, Sundari ma'am is saying that trying to understand more about risk management. Acha. When we get to know about the depth of it, we will
Yes.
definitely have
Yeah.
questions. Right. Correct, ma'am. So we hope that you will be registering for the upcoming training, which is in the month of October. Yeah, Indraja ma'am, you said that it is not possible. Then we will get back to you on the next dates on the same. And we have noted your requirements also, IITF, IMS. So that also we will be getting back whenever we will have the sessions on the same. Yes. Poor quality tools. Yes. Yes. Dattatreya ji, I'm noting it down. You poor quality tools. Yes. We will wait for 5 minutes or we will wind up, sir.
I think if there are no questions,
No questions, then yeah.
then we can wind up, right? Yeah.
Okay, then we can wind up here,
Wind
sir.
up. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining today's webinar, and we hope that you all will join, and that curiosity will be there to know more about the risk management, and you will surely join our training program. So we will wind up here, sir.
Yes.
Today.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.